evening, everybody. Welcome to season 2, episode 9, overall 19 of the Small Talk podcast with Marlene Sharp and Chris Pomay. It is a monthly entertainment talk show, and I'm excited tonight. Marlene's got us a special guest lined up, and I'm going to let her introduce him. And we're going to bring Marlene on, and it's going to be a great show tonight, guys. And if you're into if you're into professional deep sea diving, and want to learn some about clay sculpting and toy making, our guest is going to have some great stories to share with us tonight. So I'm going to bring on our co-host, Marlene Sharp, and we're going to have a special guest shortly. Good evening, Marlene. How you doing?
Hello from Los Angeles, Chris. Nice to see you.
Hello from rainy Ontario tonight, and it's hard to
Oh,
believe September is flying by.
I know, it sure is, and I'm sorry to hear about the rain, but I must admit I'm a little jealous because we're here in Los Angeles where it rains once every decade or so, and we could use some sprinkles right about now. So
We
so enjoy. Count your blessings. That's the
we
message.
we we
Count
did
your
have
blessings.
we did have a rainy summer here, and then I would say the last month we've had hardly any. So I think tonight, yeah, we definitely need some rain and stuff like that. But our
Yeah.
Thanksgiving here in Canada is only like 3 weeks away too.
Oh, well, happy Thanksgiving, right on the heels of Korean Thanksgiving. So,
Oh,
yeah,
theirs is in October too.
it's well, it was last week. Last week was Korean Thanksgiving. So,
Oh,
I
okay.
guess everybody's Thanksgiving comes before the U.S. We're a little bit late, but that's okay. We can observe how it's supposed to be done by watching Canada and Korea.
How is Blanche doing? And I want to say thank you so much for arranging our guest tonight. We'll bring him on shortly.
Oh, you're welcome. Blanche is fine. She's in her position. I cannot guarantee that we won't hear some barks or yips or yaps during the show, but at the moment, she seems okay. She's quiet. Fingers crossed. Blanche Dubois Sharp, for those of you who are new to the show, is my little angel and business partner, a fluffy white Bichon Poodle mix, who usually makes herself known at least once, maybe twice, or sometimes the whole show. But we're hopeful that she'll stay asleep for most of it today. And then, oh, before I forget, I want to shout out my friend Kumar Aurora and his company Elfie. The company Elfie made this shirt, and it's a collab with Paramount Pictures for the new Transformers movie, Transformers 1. And so Kumar sent me this really nice care package yesterday, and I thought maybe I'd wear the jacket. There's a really cool jacket that goes with this too, but it's kind of warm, so I'll save the jacket for later. And then I also want to say hello to a fan of Kumar's work, and that's Ray Sean Smith from Big Famous UTA Talent Agency. He's watching tonight too, so he might be here to see the shirt, but I like to think he maybe is here to see me too. So
There's,
that's
and
it.
there's, I was gonna say, and the shirts are just black, or do they have them in other colors?
I think there are other colors. I'm not sure if it's this style of shirt or if there are others. Ilthy.com. It's like filthy without the F. So ilthy.com, you can go, and there are a lot of different Transformers items, as well as a number of things that are tributes to the city of Cleveland, because Ilthy is located in Cleveland. And Kumar is very loyal to his home. Oh, there's Ray Sean. I saw Ray Sean pop up. Yay, there he is.
Thank you,
Hey,
Ray
Ray
Sean, for watching. Appreciate it. He's
Sean.
watching. Ray Sean Smith is watching us through LinkedIn. So we're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, X, and Instagram. And I'm really excited about our guest tonight, Marlene. I want to say
Me
thank you
too.
for arranging our guest.
My
If you'd like,
pleasure. My pleasure. And we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of our guest and myself meeting as friends and collaborators and so forth. And we have an interesting story about how we met and became friends. So, and he's just an all-around most interesting man in the world. If you remember that commercial campaign for Dos Equis, Vadim could definitely just step in there and pick up from where that other guy left off, because he has so many talents and they're fascinating.
All right. Well, we're going to bring on Vadim Govorov. He's a professional deep sea diver. He's a clay sculptor and a toy maker, and he's based out of Florida right now. So, hello, how are you?
Hello from Fort Myers, Florida. I heard they need some rain. I have a hurricane coming tomorrow.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Vadim.
We're probably getting some of the side effects here in Ontario, because we're supposed to get a lot of rain today and tomorrow.
All right. Yeah, we'll get some more. Yeah, it's been a tropical storm, but now I think it's going to be as a hurricane. So we're ready.
Yikes. But Vadim, that's your specialty, right? When the storms come, then your job kicks into high gear. There's going to be disaster to follow, and you'll clean up the mess.
Yes. Everything below the waterline, that's my world. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And I wanted to ask you this before we get into questions. How did you and Marlene end up meeting a couple years ago?
We met through a mutual friend, and he's unfortunately he passed away. But it was a good connection. We worked. He tried to help me with my project. I met him in a toy show, and then we worked a little bit together. And he said, "You know what? I think I have just the right person for you for your to help you with my project." And they introduced me to Marlene, and that's how it started. Yeah.
Yeah. So Richard Gottlieb is the friend.
And yeah, Richard Gottlieb.
He passed away last year. Very sad story.
I'm sorry.
Really sorry. Thank you. But he was a wonderful mentor to so many people in the toy business, and his specialty was toys, all aspects of toys, marketing, manufacturing, spotting trends, and conventions where people would meet and talk about toys and do business. And so Vadim actually met Richard at the New York Toy Fair years ago, because Vadim is a clay sculptor and a clay sculptor of toys. So he makes these figures, and he at one point mass produced them to sell as toys and collectibles. And so he went to the toy fair just to see what it was all about. The toy fair happens in New York, and that's where Vadim was at the time. And Richard, that was like one of his regular haunts, was Toy Fair in New York. He would go there every year. He was almost like the king of Toy Fair, because everybody knew him, and he was a trusted resource for a lot of media outlets and so forth. And Vadim just saw him and started talking, right, Vadim?
Yes, actually, it was like really like a fate. I was ready to leave. I had a little suitcase with all my models. I was showing people around who would be interested, and nothing really happened. And I was like, I'm on my way out, and I go on the first floor, and I see a gentleman, and there's a bunch of people around him, and he's talking to another guy. Somebody's trying to show him something and things and that, and I see something with the toys. So I just, you know what? Let me make a last stop, so I will never be sorry. And I came in and said, can you see? I said, hold on a minute. But I opened my little suitcase where you see the figurines. He took just one look at it, and he just I said, just hold on, don't go anywhere. He says, don't go anywhere. So he get rid of all the other guys, and then he said, let me see what you got there. And I showed him I had a pretty good collection, and then maybe like 15, 20 little figurines stuck in a little nests in it for transportation. And he saw it, and he liked it. He said, I'd like to see more. And we start talking, and I asked him if I can make some kind of a business out of it, introduce it to the world. And he said, yeah, I'll help you. We'll see what we can do. And that's how it all started.
Hey, you guys, keep talking for a second. I'm gonna go get something. Be prepared for an Easter egg coming this way. I just need to reach over here and get it. I'll be right back.
All right.
All right. Hey, I was going to say thank you so much for coming on, and when you were growing up, did you, obviously you were into toys and stuff like that, but when did you get into the professional deep sea diving? Was it when you were in the Ukraine, or was it after you came to America after 1994?
It was after 1994 when I came to America. I was uh, I was working some different odd jobs. You have to have like proper documentation. Have to wait for it through this immigration process. And then while doing that, I start doing what I can do. Because I used to train dogs in the military, so I help people train dogs, and I start making my sculptures because I know they were popular back in Ukraine. And I took them like all over the world where I was, and I start making them. And somebody said, you know what? Why don't you go to the art shows? In New York and New Jersey, they had like art shows in the summer, in the winter, and everywhere I went, they said, "Yeah, welcome. We'll take you in because it was something unusual. They never seen anything like it." And I'd set up my table. I didn't need much space. Like a 4x4 table. I made a little like a cascaded cubes in there with the mirrors. I put. If I find a picture, I'll show you. It was really attractive, and people would call my display a babysitter because kids would come over there and parents could leave him there for hours. They would just stand and look at things. I had a categories, everything you can see under the sun. I have a professions, occupations, military, firemen, cops. Like different situations, sports, hobbies. And I was making that for a while until I got somehow. I don't know how I got this brochure. I don't remember where now, but I saw advertising for a commercial diving education school. And it says, come up a winner. And there's a nice picture, guy that helped me come out of the water. And I said, you know what, let me try that. Something different. Yeah, because I always like to do something other people don't do. And I called him up, and it was turned out to be a school in California. And I talked to the representative admission, and they told me, yeah, we'll help you to get in and all. And a week later, I was in my car driving to LA. And I came to Los Angeles. The school was in Port of LA, Port of Wilmington, in Los Angeles Harbor, and I loved it right away. The ocean and everything. I never seen it like that before. And I went to school. I graduated with honors. I got a job as my profession. My specialty is underwater welding. So I weld underwater, and the instructor, his name was Duke Ogden, a really interesting guy. And he said, listen, he called me commie. He called me a communist, because listen. Yeah, listen, commie, you got to do good. You got to have a job before you even graduated. So he sent a letter to CalDive International, is a company in the Gulf of Mexico. And after graduation, I again got in my car and drove to Louisiana and started working as a commercial diver offshore oil fields. And it took me around the world. I worked in Gulf of Mexico, Persian Gulf, West Africa, in Alaska, different places. The only place you don't go is the North Sea up in the Northern Europe, because somehow they don't take Americans in there. But that's how it started, and I fell in love right away. Just amazing job, amazing. Every time is something different. Every day is a different challenge. But like I said, come up when I always come out, and you feel deep feeling of satisfaction. When the job is done right. So I just love it. I just love to be in the water. I feel at peace. When I enter water, it's something I don't know, hard to explain. It just feels different.
A totally different world. Have you been to Canada yet?
Yeah, I've been to Canada. Yes, I've been to Canada. I had a cousin who lives in Montreal, and I'll go there.
Not far from me. Wow.
Yeah.
Small world. Before Marlene, I'm going to let you talk for a few minutes. I just wanted to ask Vadim this question. For those that are watching this live stream or audio or on WQEE 99.1 FM, and they're interested in being a deep sea diver, can you just tell us about the training process of going ahead with this?
Well, yeah, training process is it's costly and it's timely. You can't just go there like scuba diving lessons, and so there are different schools all over the world. Basically in the U.S. there are 3 or 4 schools, and in I think there's one in Canada probably too. But the one I went to, a College of Oceaneering, is a year-long program, and they teach you, all the instructors, the ex-Navy divers, and they demand certain things. You have to be, you have to be able to handle in the dangerous situations, in cold water, and and physics, physiology. They teach you stuff, underwater medicine, diving medicine. So you have to hyperbaric chamber operations. So it's a lengthy process, and you have a lot of people left. They couldn't handle it. We started class with 40 people in the beginning, and only 16 people were left at the end, and only 6 had diplomas, graduation diplomas. Yeah, so it was it's a tough process.
But that's a lot to learn in 1 year.
Yeah, but it's intense. Lessons, courses like 8 hour a day with water and training and all that. One of my instructors actually was an experimental diver who went down in the Mariana Trench in that little eggshell, whatever they went in. But small guy, but tough little bastard. I tell you, he would make us do things like unmanageable. Yeah, but it helped. It helped. Yeah, because you have to be ready for anything. Once you enter the water, it's like I said, different world. There is no mercy. If you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna die.
So Vadim, did you look like this when you first dressed up in your wetsuit?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but we're using a little bit different gear now. It's like it's an old style, but maybe one day because my head is still in the car. But I'll one day I'll bring it. I'll show you how it looks like and how it works. It's like much easier now. Yeah.
Well, fun fact, this is one of Vadim's creations.
Cool.
Yes, this
awesome.
is one of the figures that he sent to me. And this one is, I believe, you know what? It's hard to tell. Maybe you did sculpt this one out of clay, Vadim.
It's an interesting thing. Yeah, these figurines, the factory, I went to China. When I went to China to make the figurines like that, they said, "Oh yeah, we can do it." And I was thinking, "Yeah, how could they possibly?" And boy, like I went there for 7 days. I made him brought a model in there, and the 7 days they made them all. And they invited me back to the office, and they said, "Well, take a look." And I'm looking at it, 2 of them sitting at the table, and I couldn't tell the difference by looking at it.
Yeah.
The only way I could tell by weight, I picked him up in my hand, and I know my figurine was heavier than their figurine, but it was exact copy. I don't know how they did it. But it's amazing.
This one is definitely a Vadim original. He sculpted this out of clay and sent it to me. And this one has an interesting backstory in that I was working on a film that, much like the Titanic, was ill-fated and did not happen, but it was called Young Captain Nemo, and it was about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the later years, the ancestors of old Captain Nemo. But anyway, the movie didn't happen, but Vadim, this is one of the silver linings. He sculpted this amazing masterpiece and sent it to me. And
amazing.
This is definitely clay, and you can tell now that you mention it. I mean, this is a lot heavier than this one. This is one of the plastic ones, but still the quality, you can't, I bet those of you watching at home can't tell the difference. But yeah, so much detail on here. He's got like tiny little maps and a feather on the hat and a book, and then there's an inscription on the back, which is a famous quote from Jacques Cousteau. Can you see that?
Yes, I can. Cool.
Yeah. So my prized possessions from Vadim.
That is amazing. I wanted to ask you, Vadim, what's the process like in making like that? It's something that takes a lot of time to do?
It depends on the size and the detail, but it starts in the head as an idea. You think of something you see a funny situation, and I try to reproduce and recreate everything I see around me, and special orders, of course. People send special orders. I can make something specifically for them that make look like a person. But the most time it just you have to prepare the colors. Here in the United States, it's easy. You go to some art store and all the colors already pre-made. But back when I started in Ukraine, I have to buy it's like a big gray piece, looks like a big gray brick, and you have to make it soft, make a big pie, like a pizza pie, then put colors in there you want, mix it. It was a very difficult process. Now it's easy. You just get the colors, you I have a little studio. When I lived in New York in the attic, I had a studio in there, so it works there. But right now I'm in Florida. I don't have room for that. But I'm looking to bring my stuff from New York and start making sculptures again because I miss it. It's like a therapy to me. And you sit down and you start working on it. Sometimes they come out right first time, sometimes they don't. And you look at it like a critique and I don't like it, start again. Then after it's made, what's good about this product, it's called Fimo and Sculpey, is you can bake it in your own oven. You can stick it in your own gas oven and set the temperature, of course, with the proper ventilation. And it's within half an hour, you have a solid as rock figurine, Yeah.
So in Ukraine, you can't buy multicolored clay. There's just one color. Is that what you're saying? And you had to paint it or
the clay as a Play-Doh, yes, it's colored, but it's it's not forever. You can it's a Play-Doh, but this material they could harden like a professional modeling compound. Back then in Russia when I was growing up, it wasn't available in colors. It was in one. It wasn't meant to be for toys, to make little sculpture figurines. It was meant for to make something big, just for
Right.
like a mannequin or something. But what I did is I started adding paint to it, and it worked, and I had over like 30 different colors and shades, and I just liked it. I put them in a little bowl, mix it together, and calibrated little pieces, maybe like a golf ball, set them up on a table, and I pinch from every color what I need, and it's enjoyable process. I like making those clay figurines. It's really like a therapy to me. Yeah. And people noticed that, and they start, hey, because I was making him for museums, for little like a toy fairs, but then people start asking me for special orders. So they would say, hey, there's a gentleman, or a girl for the birthday. But my biggest challenge was when I was in the art show, I think somewhere in New Jersey, and man came up and he spent probably, I would say, like 15-20 minutes just standing looking at things at my display, looking, and I was gonna about to ask him, and he gave me a business card, and he was representative from Johnson & Johnson, and he said, listen, I'd like to talk to you. I have an idea. And what he had in mind is he was in charge of gifts and recognitions in a company, and they usually give up a little watches, little lighters, little knickknacks, little pens to employees, and but he decided to really impress the boss, and he ordered me for maybe 50 employees. He asked me to combine the hobbies and the occupation. So he told me what they do in a factory or whatever on the job, and they told him what they do as a hobby. And I was thinking, scratching my head, and I was like, but I did it. I made the order as though it was like a $10,000 paycheck from Johnson & Johnson, my first big payment. But the culmination of this all was when he presented a figurine to his to his boss, which I made in a Indian headdress, like a feathers and all, with a golf club, because he liked to golf. Dressed in like a suit with a head, like a chief's headpiece, and a golf. So this guy got promotion, and I never saw him again.
Oh,
Yes.
Stinker.
Yeah, but that was so satisfying when he showed the video, the way he was giving up those figurines, 50 individual boxes, and he gave to everybody. People were like howling and screaming, Yeah. So it was great.
Each one was customized for the person.
Yeah. They were amazed. How did you do it? I said, he said, yeah, I know. He said, I know a guy.
So if I wanted one, you would be able to do one of me if I was interested in getting one done?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything.
That's amazing. I'm gonna ask you this, and then I'm gonna let Marlene ask the first question. But what are some of the most popular figurines that you have done so far?
Popular. Well, I had collectors for specific theme, like Cowboys and Indians. I had a guy collecting everything I made with Cowboys and Indians. And in fact, his wife contacted me maybe like a year ago. She said, "Listen, I found your figurines because her husband died, and she found those figurines." He said, and I saw him. I don't remember when I made them, and I want him to buy him back. because they're
Okay.
unique, they're one of a kind. And she said no, and also she kept them. And then different collectors. I had a hobby guy who collected all the kaleidoscopes, so I made him something with kaleidoscope. But the most popular so far was, of course, this my diver figurines, because I have a big circle of friends, the divers, and they always order something from me. And I'm like this particular figurine that Marlene has is very popular. I only have maybe 3 left, from all the because I can make them all by one. So the most popular figurines that I have, that's why I went to China to see if I can set up some kind of a manufacturing process. So I don't have to be because it's hard. It's you sit down for hours. Sometimes spend hours making those figurines, make one, and then you have to make another one. It's just no time for that. So, but if you make a
so
good
detailed, so many
Yeah.
accessories on each of the figures, and like can you see the little snail up here and his eyes? I mean, very
Yeah, and the story behind it. See the crab, he cut the holes because some of the divers, they like to find a crab, they nail him to they kind of like abuse him and stuff. So I kind of revenge of a crab, and people like it because one of the guys actually on our show, he all noticed that, and Bob Gottlieb, he noticed it too. He said, so your figurines are different because it's not like a statue, it's like a situation. So when you look at the figurine, you know what's happened before, what's happening now, you can see, and you know what's going to happen later. So it's like you're depicting the situation, and that's what makes it a little like more unique, different. That's what people like. They see a little story in it. You can probably actually see what's going on. So if you make a move,
I see. Okay, I thought it was a snail, but now you say that, I am noticing this
the claw,
and then that's why the nail is through it, is because he put the nail
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
Okay. Wow, I should have asked for this explanation 2 years ago, but better late than never, I suppose. Yeah, so it's not a snail, it's a crab. And see,
It's a crab. Yeah, it's a crab. I just put this little shell in. It looks kind of like more of a visible, it's some kind of like a hermit crab or something. But they do have claws, It's some kind of a giant hermit claw. So.
Yeah, there's the claw.
Yeah.
And it maybe he's getting ready to electrocute it. Is that what this is? He's getting ready to touch the wires to the claw to get him off?
No, that's the cut hose. That's the hose that supplied air to him.
Oh, that's the hose. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I am a fan of true crime.
Yeah,
so we'll get into that in a minute.
But there is electrical wire in there for communications, but it's really low voltage. You can zap anybody, but
Okay,
yeah, he just cuts his air hose. So.
Amazing. Hey, do you sign your figurines? Do you sign them at all?
The ones I made by hand, yeah, they signed. But the ones that actually everyone. So if I make a model, it would be like my little Clay World Inc. logo on it, or my fingerprint, or my name. So whichever is, I'm not sure, but some of them might have it. Yeah, most of them have it. My little signature. Yeah.
Marlene?
Well, Vadim, I love all the anecdotes that you've collected through the years about your many adventures. So I would like to request that you take us through maybe a couple of them. Story time with Vadim. And I am going to request the story of Captain Sully Sullenberger and the miracle on the Hudson, and how you were involved with that.
Well, my involvement was I actually saw it happen. We worked that day.
Wow.
And yeah, we worked that day. It was a cold day, winter. I don't remember what months were that, but we were. It's kind of like I hope my former employees from Finland here, but we were working on a Hudson, on an East River during the week, and then on the weekend we were kind of pirating. We were working for another guy. He would pay us cash, and we would take equipment from the East River, bring it to the Hudson, on the Hudson side. We put on the trucks and work in there. And one of the days we were doing that, is sitting there, and all of a sudden we see a plane coming almost under the bridge, and so I was on top, and I said, my guy, listen, Chris, come out of the water, you got to see this. And he kind of stick his head out, and the plane just splashing and breaking ice and everything. Is like wow, and we thought it was going to be a disaster, but nothing happened because we're tied. We can't we can't help him anyway because we tied with to the lifeline. Air and hot water and everything. You can't just swim to the plane and start rescuing people. You're gonna drown and yourself. But we were ready to assist whatever it needed to be. But then it just ended up being rescue from the people come out on the wings and every boat in the harbor jumped to help and it was successful. But then the plane eventually sunk. So then we were involved in lifting the engines and everything from the plane. That was a Weeks Marine company, and we worked on that later. Several months later, it happened when they organized the whole salvage mission. That's when we got involved. We had to go down, rig the plane, rig the engines, pull them out first because they're heavy. You have to take the engines first before you pull out the plane. So it was a process. It took a while, but that was it. That was the only involvement. Yeah. But we saw it happen. It was scary.
How many were you in the water at the time that this happened? And how long ago was it, Marlene?
Oh,
yeah,
was
it was
it
a while
like
ago.
2009?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah.
2009, 2008, something like
I remember it. I remember it on CNN.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And then the movie with Tom Hanks. Did you guys see
Tom
the
Hanks.
movie?
Yes.
Yeah. Who played you in the movie, Vadim? Who was
They,
that?
they,
Russell Crowe or
I didn't get
Brad
the
Pitt?
agent. No, I didn't get the agent. No, nobody can. No. Too
That's
bad.
going to be in the sequel. It's the recovery mission.
Yeah, but we did some work when I worked when I lived in LA. We did some work for Hollywood studios. If they hired us for as a standby diver for a day, if they have like a water scenes, they're shooting like a in the water, so we have to be there as a standby rescue diver. We did that for a while. Yeah.
Wow, did you get your Screen Actors Guild card from doing that?
No, I just got $500 and thank you.
Oh, okay. I see. Maybe they wanted you to actually do the work as opposed to acting as if you were a rescued. Like they wanted you to actually rescue people, like the
Yeah,
actors,
because
in case they
sometimes,
messed up.
sometimes when like they're shooting water scenes, people, sometimes people panic. Sometimes, just for insurance reasons, I guess. I don't know. But they had a certified divers on set. I was dressed in a wetsuit with fins and mask and everything, ready to go save somebody. Never actually happened, So I was just sitting sweating in a wetsuit. But the job is a job,
Were there any celebrities that you worked with on those types of shoots?
I don't know. They wouldn't let us go mingle with celebrities. Most of them stunt doubles. If you have some kind of a like like a trick, there was a stunt doubles. But we saw. I've met. Where am I? I forgot the name. The older actress, Faye Dunaway. I made Faye Dunaway.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah,
wow.
But it wasn't on the set. I made a figurine for her too. I made actually her interior decorator designer. We were friends, and she asked me to make a little figurine, little she's like a model or something of the kitchen for her, and I made it. She liked it, and she invited me like for tea or something. Very beautiful, very classy lady. Faye Dunaway, I tell you, it was like
Supergirl. She played Supergirl in 1984.
Oh
she was in
my
the
goodness!
Supergirl movie in 1984. Yeah.
And also her most iconic role as Joan Crawford in Mommy Dearest. That was a role to end all roles.
Yeah,
and
I like her.
So many. I mean, gosh, everything that she's ever done is like cinema history.
Yeah, the good one was the Tommy Lee Jones. I think the Eyes of Laura Marks. I think it's an old movie. It's Tommy Lee Jones. He plays a cop and a serial killer. It was a great movie. If you have a chance to take a look at it, yeah. The Eyes of Laura Marks. I think something like that. Yeah.
I've heard of it. I've not seen it, but and then Chinatown, of course. That's a classic.
Yeah, I made her every compliment I knew.
Yeah, I've seen her before. I've seen her at screenings, and she's very small, right? She's like
she's a
little lady. She looks so so commanding on this, especially as Joan Crawford. Like, I find her presence to be terrifying, like when she's really going for it. But then when I saw her in person, I couldn't believe it. She's just like this tiny lady. Amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool that you got to meet her and create art for her too.
And
It wasn't easy.
And it's just amazing nobody died, because usually when a plane crashes, usually there's fatalities, and that truly is a miracle. And that must have been an amazing experience for you to be in.
Yeah, we were expecting a total disaster, but what they did, they just Sully, the guy Sullenberger, right? What he did, it was just it was a masterpiece. He was a really professional. Yeah, to land the plane like that, unbelievable.
Were you able to meet him in real life?
No, never, no.
I was gonna get. Go ahead, Marlene. Go ahead, Marlene.
I was just gonna ask you, Vadim, about 9/11. Were you in New York when 9/11 happened?
No, I wasn't in. I worked in. Just before that, I was in Louisiana, and we were in a really bad storm, a really bad hurricane, and the vessel I worked with was so beat up that, they said, they put it on dry dock, and they told us to take a couple weeks off. And at that time, my friend called me that we worked together before, and he was hired by some company in New Jersey, Connecticut, for a job, and he got hurt. He got hurt in a job, but he called me. He said, "Listen, can you come and finish the job for me?" Because they needed a certified welder and a burner, the one who can handle heat on the water. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Why not?" And at the time, my girlfriend at the time lived in New York, so I figured it'd be a good time to stay there for a duration of a job. So they hired me, and we were working at that time in I think it was Port of Wilmington in Delaware. I was building the port in Delaware, and I was in the water, diving in the water, and I was commuting. Commuting with my friend from Staten Island, and he was in the National Guards, which would helped a lot later. So we were working at that project, and all of a sudden, my supervisor called me on the radio. He said, "But you come out of the water. Something's going on. Somebody bombing New York." And I'm like, bombing New York, because that's I'm in Staten Island, New York. I wouldn't jump out, and we start listening to the radio, anything information, and all of a sudden we see a commercial airline flying really low towards Pennsylvania, and two military jets right on his tail. They're flying right behind him, and then like 10 minutes later, we heard the news that another plane crashed in Pennsylvania. So that was the plane we saw, probably the last plane that crashed. And then we jumped. Everybody, we shut down the job. Everybody went home. And we're driving with my friend to Staten Island, shut down. New York was shut down.
Yes.
You can't get in. We just shut down. But he stopped in his captain's house in Jersey, pick up his gear, and we pull up to the bridge. And he has. I put his helmet on my head, and he pulled out his military ID, and he showed the cop, and he said, "Oh, National Guard, they called in." I said, "Yeah, we were called in." So the only car went in. It was me and my friend. We got home. And after that, we waited like for a week probably till they start, working again. But then later on, when I was working in New York, right by the Freedom Tower, like maybe 4 years ago, actually, this underwater structure would have to be repaired, but it was like directly right below the. I found somebody's ID, somebody's wallet, in the water in there. Yeah, from so many years ago. Yeah, some guy, I forgot his name, but I sent it back. I took the address from the driver's license and I sent it in the envelope to the address. When I don't know if somebody got it or not, but there was a wallet from the guy. I don't know if it's from the guy from the towers or from the incident, but it was a really strange place to be in, So I thought maybe it got blown off and fell in there somewhere, because it was like nobody could get there without like proper equipment and all that. So that's
hard to believe that was 23 years ago. And I remember that day, Thursday, September 11th, and I was coming off a midnight shift, and I was just going to bed when I was watching CNN when they showed the towers getting destroyed. And that was just, you never forget where you were that day, 23 years ago. And just
tragic. Horrible. And I was renting the place, and my view was like straight to my head. You can see towers. And then one day it's gone, just a big black gaping hole in there, and a smoke coming out for a month. Yeah, that was horrible. It was, yeah.
Wow.
Vadim, are you still good for time for a few more questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
He's just warming up.
I love to ask questions. That's why I love radio. I don't have a face for TV, but I love radio and I love doing this. But I wanted to ask you this: what can you tell us some of some of your underwater missions in your career, and what is the deepest you've gone underwater depth wise?
The deepest depth was 380 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, it was Gulf of Mexico. We were doing it's a pipeline job. You laying a pipeline and you cover pipeline with a special, like they call submarine. That's the one that protects it from the fishers' nets and all that. That was the deepest job. Yeah, it lasted. It's been like a month. But it's mostly in decompression because for the depths like that, you have to come up slowly. So they put you in a system in a decompression chamber. You actually live there, for several weeks. With 3 other guys. So there was it was the deepest job. Yeah, but the for over the years, I've so many. Mostly you work in the oil fields. Maintenance of the gas and oil platforms or demolition of old ones, repairs and inspection. I do inspection too. But then when I start working in New York, there is more variety of work. There's like building bridges and ports and tunnels, protective cages on the tunnels, and tons of work. But the interesting one was diving in the East River. We were diving in the East River, and the depth was maybe 50 feet. So 50 feet, according to the Navy standards, you work maybe like for 2 hours. You're down, underwater downtime. Then you have to come up, and you can't dive anymore until next day. And the current and very strong in the East River. And we're working on the Brooklyn piers. Actually, all those piers you see in Brooklyn right now, we build them all. They've all demolished, all like an old abandoned warehouse and stuff. But then we start ripping them apart and building from the bottom up. And I'm really proud of that. It's and the Pier 17 on the other side of the East River, I built it too. But the one was interesting because my supervisor said, "Hey, somebody dropped something off the pier." I go take a look, see if I can find it. And I went looking at it, and I found it. It was like a tape, engineer's tape. But I looked a little bit farther, and the visibility was pretty good, and I see something shiny in there. And I'm like, what the hell? And I decided to go, but you connect it to the hose, to the lifeline, right? So you have to ask for slack to go farther. And I asked, I said, Johnny, give me some slack. Let me go see something. And he said, no, you're out of time. You have to come out because your time is up, right? But I was really curious where. So I come out, and the next guy going in, I said, Robbie, whatever you do, before you do anything, just go take a look what's in there, what's in that corner over there, like just maybe like 50 feet off the corner of the pier, something shiny. So the guy goes in there and he starts screaming, oh my God, it's gold, it's something, So we said, bring it up. So he brings up, he ties up to the rope, we're bringing one piece up, and a huge ingot of copper. It's a copper. And it's a huge, heavy as hell, this ingot of copper. And we said, how many of them? He said, there's a whole pallet. So we spend the rest of the day salvaging this stuff. Bringing it up, and the Brooklyn piers, the next street over, is 3rd Avenue. There's like an industrial area, and there is a scrap yards in there. So the boss took it all there and sold it for like about $5,000 probably he got for this copper ingot. It's a pure ingot. So we got some money, $500 each. But the amazing story is about when how did it get there? I don't know how to get there. Who cares, 2 days later, I'm watching this Discovery Channel. And they talking about the Lusitania, the ship that was sunk during World War I by Germans, claiming to be like ammunition transportation. And the first time that they know where the ship is, they know what happened, but they never actually been inside. And for the first time, they're showing the divers going hole. And what do you think they find in that hole? Those same ingots that we found on the pier. And I started doing some investigation. Turned out this Lusitania was loaded by those copper ingots in the Brooklyn piers. So one of them probably fell overboard. They just left them there, and that's what we found. And I knew if I knew, I would have kept one, but we didn't know at that time.
Wow, and you should have been part of the Discovery Channel documentary, clearly, because you were part of excavating that historical find. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, we kept it hush because if our boss would find out that instead of actual work we were salvaging ingots, we would be fired, So everything was.
Yeah. Have you thought about one day, writing a book about your deep sea diving career, and I wanted to ask you this as well. What are some of the challenges of doing what you're doing, and do you guys do sea diving when the weather is bad as well, or the weather has to be good conditions to do it?
The, yeah, there is a factor with lightning. As long as it's no lightning, we can work. But lightning and it's a no-no. Yes, you hear lightning, you have to get out of the water. You have to stop. Yeah, that's the only restriction we have here. But bad weather, no. Anything, no problem. But a book, as far as book, I'm doing it right now.
Awesome, that's amazing.
And Marlene has a first copy.
Yeah.
I did not know this, so I'm glad I asked you about this. I might have to get a copy of your book because I'm fascinated with what you're doing, and the sea is completely a different world from what we live in.
Yes, absolutely. And if you look, I don't know if my link, Marlene, the picture of me, right, with the helmet when I was younger, right? Is that the right one, right? On a link profile.
Let's see. Hang on. Well, there's this one that's in the intro of the book. But
Yeah, that's
I sent.
yeah,
Oh,
the picture on a linked profile, right? It's like you see me with a helmet.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn, right? So you see that picture? It's me after, like I said, my first working dive was in the Gulf of Mexico, and I went in. One person came out totally a different person. It was when I graduated from school, right? I graduated from school. They sent me to this work for Cal Dive and all, but they don't let you dive right away. They want to test you. They want to, so they throw everything at you. The hard job, abuse, and insults and everything. They want to see how you act under pressure. And finally, after a while, okay, Kami, you okay? So one time, you basically work on the deck. You help, you do all kinds of stuff. You wash the wetsuits for people, for saturation divers. You drag the hoses. You support that. But then after a while, they take you in and say, okay, you got to dive now. You're okay to dive. So my first dive was on a night shift, and it was a simple job. They were just hook up the cable for the saturation bell go down, and so you have to jump in the moor pool in a ship and go underneath to connect this cable. Very simple thing, but when I jump in there and the current is blowing and you have to hold on with your knuckles, your nails to the rivets on the bottom of the ship, and you make it to there. But in this moment, you in the dark, right? You're emulated by your light, you see stuff, but it's like you realize that you're probably the single human being for hundreds of miles in this huge body of water, and you see this at night. With the current, there's a plankton, the psychedelic green plankton flying through the water, like if you see in Star Wars, like they do the warp drive, like stars like coming at you. Same effect, it is green, and you're looking at it, wow, and you hear the whale call and all that. It's just absolutely, it's amazing. So I come out, you see the picture of me with my face and smiling. That's how I came out from my first dive, and I was, it's like I said, I want to live there. It's a totally different world, and it's beautiful there.
What's the longest you've been underwater? And I wanted to ask you this too, because I'm still learning about all this. The longest you've been underwater, and the other question I wanted to ask you is, on average, how many oxygen tanks do you guys use when you go underwater?
All right, the longest I've been in the water was 18 hours straight.
Wow.
It was in Alaska. I was looking for gold. I don't know if you heard about Alaska. A gold rush in the Bering Sea. I got to see this. I have a little souvenir from there. But yeah, the longest hour was I went to Alaska in 2013. Worked with my friend, and we just decided to dredge for gold because there's a gold in the Bering Sea. And we built a dredge, and we worked there. And one day I just found you have to know basic geology to like look for the old rivers where it used to be, and the underwater like rocks, because gold gravitates to big objects. And it's hiding in the black sand. And I flipped a big rock. I had a dredge suction, like a Venturi device, really powerful, 40 horsepower, sucks and everything. And I turned the rock, and as I see a black sand, and this gold, you see, it shines through everything. It's like stars in the night sky. And I start just picking it up, following, and it's Bering Sea is cold as your freezer. You have a little bit of hot water coming in, to just keep you alive, but it doesn't always work. But that gold rush, I don't know, like, when I was a kid, I read those books about like Alaska, Klondike, like a gold rush. I thought gold rush was a physical illness. I thought you have some kind of rash, and stuff like that. Until I got to Alaska, and I realized what it is. You see that gold, you do crazy stuff, and it brings out it's like a litmus paper. The gold, it brings out in you whatever your essence. If you're good, you'll shine. You're good. If you're bad, you're bad to the bone. It shows there, right there. But when I saw that gold, you can't let go. You just putting it in the hose. And my partner, so Adam, says, Vadim, what's going on? We ran out of gas already because you have to, I was doing air compressor. And he said, I don't care, just go get gas, go do something because I'm not leaving until I get it all. And I followed it for 18 hours. And finally, he ran out of gas to come up. He took a little dinghy to shore, pick up the gas. I slept maybe for 2 hours. And then I put my helmet back on and I went in for another 6. So, the one stretch continuous was 18 hours. Yeah. So that was my personal best. But as for tanks, we don't use oxygen. Oxygen use only when you breathe under decompression, because oxygen it can kill you. But compressed air, we breathe compressed air. And for the different depth, we bring mixed gas. Yeah.
We'll let Marlene ask the next couple questions, but generally, how cold can that water get?
Salt water it's never freezes, so it's as any temperature we go in. We have a hot water. We have a machine that pumps hot water into a suit if it's really cold. So you're like swimming in jacuzzi. It's actually pretty comfortable. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because you stay like me for a 5-minute dive. Yeah, it probably wouldn't matter. But if you have to stay there for a couple hours, you just you're gonna freeze to death. So we have a hot water. It's called the special suits. They're expensive. But every commercial diver should have it. And you go in and you hook up the hot water, and then you adjust the temperature, and you work comfortably as long as you want. Yeah.
When you do the long dives, how do you make sure you don't eat much before a dive, or how does that work?
Well, it's actually that's what I thought originally, because like somebody always, you shouldn't eat a lot when you go in the water. But when in dive school. I was in dive school, and one of the instructors, Mark Westaway, he was a big fan of John Wayne, and he was every time he would go in for water, he would eat a huge burrito, and I'm like, how the hell? And he said, yeah, there's nothing worse as being hungry, cold and hungry underwater. So I've learned that before you go in, you eat something hot, something nice, so you're comfortable there, because you never know how long the job will take. It might take 10 minutes, might take like 3 hours. So. But yeah, it's better be not hungry.
That makes sense. Yeah, you need your energy too. You need to focus. Yeah. It's not like you can be on autopilot down there and just kind of zone out. You must be fully engaged every second that you're in the water.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you gotta know what you're doing. Yeah.
So these are a few of the images from Vadim's book, and as you might have guessed, he chronicles his adventures in the form of pictures, these sketches, and the story as well. So the Rubber Ninja is a superhero, but very much grounded in reality. And some of his adventures include saving a dog from the lower depths, and then here's a dream sequence.
Yeah.
You must have had a lot of dreams about being on the pipeline and the oil rigs and such.
Especially, these structures like that, it's like underwater habitat for different species in there, and you can see all kinds of stuff: turtles, barracudas, crabs, all kinds of fish, dolphins, sharks. Yeah.
Yeah, and then this is a slice of life right here, life on the land as the Rubber Ninja. A knight in rubber armor.
Who gave you the name? Who gave you the name Rubber Ninja?
Interesting story. On the job, you meet different people. They're all professionals, and the company they collect the best people for the job and all stuff. And we make a lot of friends. But one of my friends was Bob Ritchie. He's a very good diver. Good, he's like a mentor to us. He's an older guy. He runs the union in New York. and he's strong. He's a wrestler. I'm not. And sometimes I can handle stuff underwater like heavy stuff. Sometimes I can't. And they said, yeah, Vadim, you have to be like a bear. You have to like grab it. And I look at it. What? How long are you gonna last like that? Wrestling and stressing yourself out. So I thought, it's better think like Egyptian, like because usually like in the underwater you test to do a job. You yourself test to do a job for 5 men, and you have to figure out how to do it on your own, and that's where the head comes in. And and then there was a young diver in there, and he asked me like, "Hey, the Bob said you're a bear." I said, "No, don't be a bear." I said, "Be a ninja. Be a ninja. Think." So he started calling me a rubber ninja. And after that, I thought, yeah, why not? That's how it came to be.
That's awesome.
Is this the picture you referred to earlier, Vadim?
Which one is that? It was a red helmet and a red coveralls, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's where we work. Oh, this is even more interesting. We work in East River. They found there's a Conedison plant, and they discovered they have some kind of underwater tunnels, which they don't know where they lead, what they do, and so they hired us to investigate. So those tunnels were like a 12 by 12 square horizontal tunnels underneath the Manhattan, starting from the East River. So we found the opening and started going in there. I actually went like 375 feet inside, cleaning it, getting all the dirt out of it and everything. We found a lot of stuff. But those tunnels were built in. We found an old blueprint from 1905, I think.
Wow. What were they for? Well, why were they?
Nobody knows. Maybe they were for cooling, for take the water in for the cool something off. I don't know. But the tunnels they ran, and they look like you work in there, and you hear on top of you excavator making foundation for the building or something, for a skyscraper. Everything shakes. Everything like it was really scary. Yeah, but those tunnels. Yeah, that was a picture from that job.
Yeah.
I even have a T-shirt made from. I earned my blood money in the tunnels of horror on 71st Street. Yeah, that was it.
And what about the inscription here in loving memory of my good friend Jimmy Sticks?
Yeah, Jimmy Sticks. He was a very good friend of mine. He died from cancer several years ago, I saw him. He beat one stage of cancer. He came to work. The guy worked to the end, and then he probably burned out. And I saw him just maybe 10 days before he died. I went to his Long Island house, and we said goodbye. A great man, and he's actually pictured in my last in that book, last story, that for book number 1. We work in a residential heliport. That's where the end of the story. Where that's where we together working together. That was the last job we worked together. Yeah. I know the heliport when not very last page, but the last day of the story when it's yeah.
And where is your book available online?
I don't have it online. Just the only one I have right now is copy. I send it to Marlene for review to see if she tells me if it's okay. If it's okay to because it still needs to be a little bit of work probably. I don't know. It's just like a
okay.
Yeah.
We've got some ideas for publishing it, so
because it's only a first one. It's only a first one. I have 2 more in my mind to continue. So it's second one. Second one is I go to Ukraine to save my mother, and actually it's a true story. I just want to depict it in cartoons. Like put a little bit of humor in it, and the textbook will be like becoming like how it happened.
Well, when your books are out, I would love a copy of it.
Sure, we'll have it.
Hey, Marlene, I know we're almost to an hour, but I would like to play that clip from YouTube. It's off Your Body on YouTube channel. It's becoming a deep sea diver. It's about 4 minutes, and Vadim, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this video. It's like a 4-minute clip. Okay, just let me know if you guys can hear the audio okay.
All right.
And this is a courtesy of Your Body on YouTube channel, and it's a little video about becoming a deep sea diver.
Are 50 meters deep in the ocean. At these extreme depths, anything can happen. To become deep diving certified is a risky endeavor. No matter what swims your way, don't panic. It could cost you your life. On today's challenge, you'll train to dive deeper than you've ever gone before. This is your body on becoming a deep sea diver. This is Ahmed Gabir. He broke the scuba world record by diving 332.35 meters into the Red Sea. He reached that depth within 12 minutes, but it took him 15 hours to return to the surface. He had to protect himself from various risks due to water pressure. So, how was he able to accomplish this feat? As you dive deeper for this challenge, you'll wear a hot water suit to keep you warm. Grab your oxygen tank and let's go.
Buddy, hey, George Michael. You've done it again.
There it is.
Deep breath, buddy.
Your oxygen tank contains a mixture of oxygen, nitrogen, and traces of other gases, but your body will release nitrogen as it doesn't need it. So when pressure suddenly drops in the ocean, nitrogen gas inside your body expands and develops into bubbles in your shoulders, elbows, knees, and ankles. If you surface too quickly, you'll get what's known as the bends or decompression sickness. You could feel many symptoms from aching joints to headaches. To safely decompress, you would take 1 minute to get to the surface. At 18 meters, you're not a beginner anymore, but rapid air consumption is another risk you could face. The air you breathe becomes denser the deeper you dive. You'll consume more air than at shallower depths, so you'd better monitor your pressure gauge constantly. Congrats, you're officially deep diving. But once you swim deeper than 30 meters, the increased pressure can alter the gases you're inhaling. If you feel euphoric and disoriented, don't mistake this for excitement. You might be experiencing nitrogen narcosis. It's also called the martini effect because, well, you might look a little tipsy. You might have trouble functioning properly at these depths. You could forget to check your oxygen tank, or you may rise to the surface too quickly. Errors like these can result in death. Okay, you're now at 49 meters underwater. It's not recreational diving anymore. You'll be tasked with performing a set of challenges, like tying knots. Well done. You'll also descend to the bottom and walk a short distance. You might think it's pretty easy to do, but the euphoria of nitrogen narcosis can make it quite challenging. Ha! You made it! You're now officially a deep sea diver. You will be able to dive where so few people ever go and see things some people can only imagine. You'll have to perform safety stops during your ascent. That will allow the amount of dissolved nitrogen in your tissues to decrease before reaching the surface. Now, if you train properly, you might be able to go down to 332 meters, just like Ahmed Gabir did. Oh, you don't want to return to the surface yet? No! Well, how about spending 24 hours underwater then? We'll see what that challenge brings on another episode of Your Body On.
Thoughts on this video?
Yes, just everything just about right. Yeah, decompression sickness and safety and everything. Very good, very nice, very well put. Yeah.
Marlene, what are your thoughts?
I will never do deep sea diving. That's what I think. But I love to watch a YouTube video now and then, and maybe even a movie like My Octopus Teacher or
That's a good one.
Finding Nemo. Those are classics that I love, but you will never see me going to those depths. That's what I think.
What's one stereotype of a deep sea diver that you hear and deal with all the time?
For me,
Yeah.
well, they think we're rude, crude, and socially unacceptable.
What?
I disagree.
That's hilarious. I wouldn't automatically jump to that conclusion not for a deep sea diver, maybe another profession where you don't have to use your brain as much. But I don't know. It seems like you need to have a lot of things going for you to accomplish those tasks under duress.
Yes, but after duress comes bar and drinking and stories and all that. Yeah, but yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it a lot. It's very easy way to just lose your paycheck. So I don't do that. I work too hard for my money to spend it somewhere. But yeah, that's what I usually. Commercial divers. Oh, those guys. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like there's a difference. There's a scuba divers, the one guys for fun, recreational divers, and commercial divers that do it for living. You get paid for it. So for me, somebody even people saying, "Hey, friends, let's go to the beach." I said, "Buddy, I don't even go in the water unless I get paid for it." And if I'm there like every day, wet every day. But,
that's work. That's work.
Yeah. So there's a difference between the scuba divers and commercial divers. For me, actually, scuba diving is. Like 2 weeks ago, my friend in Florida, he took me for the shipwreck diving. It's like 180 feet something depth, and I wasn't really comfortable, to be honest. I was like, I used to diving with my helmet, with my all this safety, air coming in. I don't have to worry about the gauges, and I was holding on to this regular in my teeth and looking at the gauge and not even enjoying it. Then my friend pushed me, "Hey, look around." I said, I couldn't relax. I was really. Unusual situation for me, being like monitoring my air, and making sure everything is like a mask is not fogging up, and yeah, kind of, but you get used to it. Yeah.
How important is equipment checks?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a pivotal. You can't you can't leave it to chance. You got to check because, like I said, Murphy law applies to diving that more than any aspect of life. If something goes wrong, it will go wrong. Absolutely, you got to check everything. It's unforgettable. You cannot go in the water without like gauging your tank. Even though you gauge it the night before, you might leak out. You have to check the mask. You have to check your watch. Like a computer watch, put the depth and everything. So the basic safety precautions are absolutely necessary. Especially in commercial diving when stuff flying around and you can get hurt very easy. Everything in there is just waiting to hurt you. So you got to be careful. You got to know what you're doing.
So let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up with a couple of fun facts about Vadim. I'll start because I know at least one fun fact that Vadim, long-time commercial diver in New York, but he's relatively new to Florida, where his home base is the swamps now. So he's the rubber ninja of the swamps.
Yes, and swamps full of strange creatures. Sometimes you hear, alligators come out of nowhere. I had to dive in the lakes with the alligator like 20 feet away, like watching you, just sitting and looking at you, waiting for, I don't know. So I wear like a bright orange shirt, or I have a knife with me, and actually they give you they call it a bank stick. It's like a device with a single bullet shot. A design. You don't pull the trigger. You have to bang it on the head of a croc to alligator to kill him. It's like a 357 bullet in there, and you have to have it in your pocket because they come around, and you never know. But turtles, lizards, and all that stuff. Yeah, Florida is different. Yeah, it's amazing, but I like it. It's green and warm.
Out of all the oceans, which one was the most difficult to do deep sea diving?
The most difficult was I would say Bering Sea was the well. It's not ocean, but yeah, it's a North Pacific, but still, Bering Sea I would say was cold and it's relatively shallow, but the waves and it's just really bad. Yeah, Bering Sea was the worst.
And finally, where can our audience follow you on social media? And do you have some upcoming projects, toy making projects, sculptors coming up as well as your book?
For book, yeah, book. I'm working on a book now, but it's mostly drawings, and the information drawings. Sculptures, like I said, I don't have my studio set up yet, but as soon as I bring it, I start making stuff. But I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. You can find me on Clay World Inc. on Facebook. Clay World, I think it's Clay World on Facebook. I have some figurines in there, and another site is Caligula Manufacturing. It's a company that I started to make those toy figurines, mass production. But then after COVID, they closed the factories. A lot of factories were closed, and one of my factories was closed in there, so they couldn't work anymore. So it's kind of like stalled out. But we'll see what happens later. Maybe I'll go back there again. I have a 10-year visa for China, so I can probably go back anytime. Yeah.
Marlene,
But,
final thoughts?
Thank you so much, Vadim. This has been a riveting interview, and we could go for a lot longer. Just we didn't even get to the true crime aspect of your job and all the bodies that you've recovered and things like that.
Part two.
Yeah, so we'll end on a cliffhanger. What bodies has Vadim rescued or recovered from the lower depths? So to be continued.
Vadim, I want to say thank you so much for coming on and giving us over an hour. I really enjoyed this, learning about your profession and your story. And Marlene, I want to say thank you for arranging this as well. And this is what I love about my show is the storytelling aspect and the learning aspect of it as well.
thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Vadim.
Thank you so much, Vadim. We'll talk to you soon, and I will make sure I send an audio, video, and some real clips to Marlene, and she can share with you too.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for watching, everyone.
All right, Marlene, that wraps up episode 9, Hard to Believe. Just quick final thoughts on this show tonight.
Oh, wow. I learned stuff about Vadim that I didn't know from the last couple of years. Well, I guess it's impossible to know every aspect of a person in the last couple of years. And in fact, Vadim and I are long distance friends. We've never met in person. So
like us.
Yeah, exactly. And so wow, I made a lot of discoveries myself, and now those lead to more questions. So it does seem likely that a part 2 could happen. There's a lot more to cover.
Absolutely, because we've had a lot of great guests on our show, but this one was really fascinating because the sea, I don't think we've even discovered 100% of down in the sea. There's so much unknowns down there, and it's a completely different world down there, and it's just fascinating. So yeah, Vadim has an open invite to come back on our show again for part 2, Marlene, and thank you so much for doing this. And before we wrap this up, I want to say thank you to everyone watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, X, Instagram, and on all major audio platforms. And the Small Talk podcast is on weekly on WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia. Again, Marlene, I want to say thank you so much for coming on here tonight. Give me a little bit of time and we'll get this audio and video copy sent to you. And I've got a lot of work to do with Reels because there's a lot of good stuff I want to clip out of here tonight.
So many clips. I can't wait. Yay. All right. It's such a good feeling when we wrap an exciting episode.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to episode 10 in October, date and time to be determined. And looking forward to episode 10 with you, Marlene, in October. I hope you have a great night. Blanche's been really good. You must have given her some treats.
I don't know. Something worked. There was something in the air. Some magic that happened, and I won't question it. I will just be thankful that we got through it.
Absolutely, Marlene. I hope you guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you very soon. And looking forward to doing episode 10 in the month of October. Thanks again, Marlene, for coming on tonight.
Thank you, Chris. Take care. Until
You
next
too.
time.
You too. All right, guys, that completes season 2, episode 9 tonight with my co-host Marlene Sharp and our special guest Vadim Govorov, who's a professional deep sea diver, clay sculptor, and a toy maker, and he's also a graphic novel author as well, and he's known as a rubber ninja as well. The next Small Talk podcast, episode 10, will take place in October of 2024. To be announced. The next live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is going to be this Friday, September 27th. Friday, September 27th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Jen Sakata. She is a female stand-up comedian out of Toronto. She's been entertaining audiences for 14 years. So Friday, September 27th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, stand-up comedian Jen Sakata from Toronto, Ontario will be on. And then on Monday, September 30th at 7 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to have Knee Jerks podcast host and longtime Detroit media personality Greg Eno on, and we're going to talk about the 2024 Detroit Tigers. So Friday at 2:30 with Jen Sakata, and this Monday, September 30th at 7 p.m. with Greg Eno. Again, I want to say thank you to Marlene Sharp and my special guest tonight, Vadim Govorov, for coming on here tonight. That's it. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. And thank you to everyone watching this live streamed and on my audio platforms and on WQEE 99.1 FM. And we are looking for sponsors to come aboard the Small Talk podcast. If you're interested in if you're interested in sponsoring the Small Talk podcast, please DM me on my social media pages or cpomay19@gmail.com. And you can also follow me and Marlene on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter X at Chris D. Pomay and Marlene at Diva with a capital D, Diva with capital D, Marlene 70, and check out her website, pinkpoodlesproductions.com, pinkpoodlesproductions.com, and I'm on beacons.ai/Chris D. Pomay. And also check out the Small Talk Podcast Facebook group page as well. We're at 94 members and counting as well. I hope everybody has a great night, and we'll see you guys back here in October for episode 10 of the Small Talk Podcast with Marlene Sharp and Chris Pomay. Have a good night. Great week, everybody.